Since this build is about 10 times better than it was in my last video, I thought it was about time to post an update. Grabbing HoWA was a huge DPS upgrade, and for clear I've started using 3 dragons with Cast on Freeze Frostwall and Herald of Ice. Outside of single target setup, this is mostly a one button build now. The key idea behind this build that I showed off in my last video was the interaction between Orovisara and Frostwall. Walls that you create count as enemies with power, so when you hit them with Orovisara, your maximum added lightning damage goes up. Using Cast on Freeze Frostwall, I don't even have to slot in any energy gems or spec into energy on the tree. I'm just auto-casting tons of frost walls the entire time I'm clearing. Molten Blast moving you forward kinda sucks on single target and it's super awkward, but when clearing maps and having tons of attack speed, it actually just makes it so you're kinda moving forward the entire time you're clearing, which feels really good, especially on Deadeye. Clear speed feels really good now, and the damage makes most things pretty easy. Defensively though, I'm still squishy enough to where I really have to watch out for standing in anything. I am res capped now, and with Acrobatics and Wind Dancer, my evasion's at 68%. However, my EHP is still pretty low, and I'm too much of a gangster to go get my 4th Ascendancy trial done, so I'm still squishy. I'll quickly go ahead and hover over all my skill gems if you want to pause and take a look. I'm also going to put a Mobalytics link in the description so you can look through the gems and skill tree in detail. Some of the support gems here are sort of just placeholders in cases where I couldn't really find something relevant or didn't have the spirit to slot something good in. The most awkward part of this is that I have 3 different frost walls. Cast on Freeze for clearing, Cast on Shock for bosses, and a self-cast for utility in both scenarios. Aside from the other benefits that playing Gemling would give to this build, it'd be super nice to be able to slot in multiple of the same support gem. When I'm switching between single target and clearing, it would actually be optimal to switch around some of the Frostwall support gems, but I can't be bothered to do that right now, especially not a controller. Prior to fighting a boss, I swap weapon sets and I switch to a helmet that's not 3 dragons so I can actually shock the boss. My spirit allocation for weapon set 1, which I use for clearing, is Wind Dancer, Herald of Ice, and Cast on Freeze Frostwall. For set 2, for bossing, it's Wind Dancer, Overwhelming Presence, and Cast on Shock Frostwall. I'm going to hover over all the gear that I'm using as well, so you can pause and take a look at that. It's probably better to socket in attack speed on Orovisara, so once I get 2 more of them, that's probably what I'll do. I needed 30 extra spirit to keep Wind Dancer on in both sets, so I'm getting that from my chest. For rings, I did some very rudimentary and probably incorrect math that led me to the conclusion that I should prioritize increased lightning damage over flat added damage. I'm already getting tons of base damage from Orovisara and HoWA, so me think increased lightning damage very better. The only other real highlight of the gear is just to anoint ice walls on the amulet. My main goal with jewels was just to get about 30% lightning resistance penetration. Everything else is kind of random and things that weren't too expensive. The 2% mana on kill from this jewel is really good though. My weapon set 1 allocation I think is super sus, but I'm just grasping at straws trying to get as much EHP as I can. I'm using Marked for Sickness now on single target, which is maybe worth, maybe not. Seems good. As always, if you've got any suggestions for improvement, please roast my ass in the comments.